Hey, everybody, welcome back to my show. This is Brandy J, Voices of Courage Walk the Talk. Today I have with me an amazing person here by the name of Wendy Cope. She is an author of A Gray, well, look now, I'm not perfect, so A Gray, Wendy, come on, don't tell me. A
A
Gray
gray resort. You got it. That's perfect.
Well,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. I know I'm supposed to have had you a while back, and
Yep. And
life
we
is
finally figured out a good time that works for us, and I'm glad to be
right.
here.
Yes, I'm happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Seems like a long time waiting, but and you're just as much as a delight as I see. I like to see your posts and then your podcast and your friend. You guys are very funny.
Well,
you're
thank
funny.
you. I don't know. We try. You got to have some humor in life and have a little bit of joy. I think a little bit of joy nowadays goes far.
Yes, especially nowadays. It's much needed too. It's refreshing too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we're gonna get to see some of this today, right? So just feel relaxed. Bring on. Don't hold back.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy to talk about my book, A Gray Resort.
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, it's a labor of love. It was something that, so it's kind of based on a small town in northern Wisconsin. That's where I grew up in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It was a summer resort along a lake. We had 8 cabins. We had a pool. My parents had a lot of acreage across the street, and I didn't really realize how good I had it back then, but I did. And I don't have property on the water now or anything. I wish I did, but it was just it was a fantastic way to grow up, especially how I was raised. And my parents, they loved all kinds of people. They loved having gatherings. They loved having picnics. And so what would happen is on Saturdays, they were called changeover days. So people would come to stay, and they usually stayed about a week or two. And then, when it was time to leave, they would pack up and leave, and it was called Saturday changeover days. So once they got checked in on Saturday, my mom would come over later to each cabin and say, hey, we're going to have a picnic or whatever. Feel free to come and join us. And everybody would come, and then people from in town would come. We had all our surrounding neighbors would kind of hang out, come stop by. And they got to be kind of like famous little, gatherings and parties in that area. And it was very fun. And my dad, he was like the grill master. He loved to cook. So sometimes I would accompany him to the grocery store. He'd order all this food, like 2 or 3 dozen big, like chickens. He would order like a few dozen corn on the cob to roast on the grill. Sometimes it was brats. Sometimes it was steak. And, he would just make all the food. It would be a very fun and relaxing atmosphere. And that's kind of how I grew up. They had a bunch of those parties. It was during primarily the summertime. And yeah, it was just neat. They loved people, and it was very apparent. And then afterwards, after everyone was done eating, my dad would get out the guitar, and it was just a very festive time. So that's sort of the backdrop of my book. However, I decided to make it a fiction book. So I added some things. There's some things in the book if you read it that, like, oh, okay, that's not true. I made up some stuff, but there's some things about it that, so there was some paranormal activity that happened around the resort.
That the mysterious man part, that I got a gist of it.
Yep. There was some interesting things that happened. So I incorporated that in the book, and, I changed names, of course. There's certain people in the book that are based on real characters. So Lyle and Cassie, they're a real couple. Lyle's, that's not his name, but he's passed on, and I'm not sure about Cassie. I've lost touch with her. But yeah, it was very fun to write. It took a long time to write. And, but I'm quite proud of it. I wanted to make, a quality book. I wanted to make something that wasn't out there before. I didn't want the romance to be cheesy, and I wanted it to be hard to put down. So I've had a lot of wide range of people that really loved it, like teenagers all the way up to, like, I don't know, guys our age, my age. they picked it up thinking, oh, this is because it's got a sunset and a dock. Oh, this is a book about, Wisconsin and fishing. And it, and then they read it and they're like, oh, it wasn't quite what I thought, but it was hard to put down. And I found myself reading it and really liked it. So that was exciting for me to hear that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it took a long time. It took a long time to do. It took about 8 years to write the book. Yeah.
Well, was that because being like a mom too, like
Yep.
everything else you had going on? Okay.
Yep. So I have 2 sets of twins, and back then, about 10 years ago, I was in the throes of changing diapers and toddlers, and it was difficult, but I did it, and to take time away, just to get away, I would write all these things. I had an idea, and I would just kind of write it down, little notes and things. And I wanted to write about that resort because, it was just so many fun memories, but I wanted to make it interesting. I wanted to add a few things to it. And yeah, it took a long time. I also had, I had some problems when I was writing it. I lost half the manuscript. I had tech issues with my laptop. I didn't know anything about the publishing industry. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know anybody. The only person that I kind of knew that was kind of tied a little bit to it was I had an author friend, and she gave me some good suggestions on what to do. But other than that, I was like on my own. And I tell you, being an indie author, it is difficult. But if you really want to do something, you're going to do it and you're going to keep at it. And that's what I did. But, and sometimes, right before you want to quit something is, the plateau of it is when you shouldn't quit, because something really cool is just going to happen just around the corner if you just kind of stick with it. Because I almost did, like when I lost half the manuscript, which took, I don't know, years, like maybe 3 years at that time when I lost half of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get old anyway. Time just keeps marching on. Why not just plug away at it again?
Yeah.
And I did. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that's awesome that you did. That's like one of those pivotal moments, like it seems like we all will face when something we want so bad. It's like, how bad do you want it? Something happens and you're just like,
I know.
Oh, forget it. And it's like, no, don't
I
forget it.
know.
You go harder. You're like, nope, I'm going to do
You
it.
really have to want it. You really, really have to. You can't do it halfway. You do it halfway, you get something like that, thrown into the mix, you're not going to want to do it. You really have to want to. And, I had something to say about the book. I think there is some good life lessons in there. It's fiction, but, I feel like too, that I have a little bit of a sixth sense. At least I did when I was growing up. It's since as I've gotten older, I've kind of closed the door on it a little bit, but that was kind of interesting growing up that way as well. And in the beginning of the book, the prologue of the book kind of discusses that a little bit in detail.
Wow. Definitely. I usually try as much as I can to spread about and get the book of the guests that I have, so I can,
That is so cool that you do that. It's so cool to support indie authors.
Oh yeah. Oh, I definitely know about the indie, and it's not easy.
No, it's not. You have to really want it, and it's fun. It's fun work, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot. But I'm sure you got to use so much of your own like creativity, you didn't have to hold back and just,
Yeah. That's the cool thing about being a self-published author is, I retain all my own rights. So I didn't have to change really anything. There's editing for sure, but I didn't have to change the format of the book or, have it go in a different direction. And that's what I like about it. And, I worked with a fantastic, it's called Book Baby. And they have their own graphic design team. They have their own editing team and marketing team. And that's where I took my book. And when I first saw the mock-up of the cover, it was like my dream realized. I cried. I couldn't believe it. I right down to what font size and what colors I wanted to use and how, I wanted them to design it. They got it right the very first time. I was just blown away. I loved it. I love the cover.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, that was very, very exciting. A lot of back and forth, a lot of, communication back and forth about, formatting and everything like that, how you want the story to be. And yeah, it takes months. After you submit your book, it takes a few months, a lot of back and forth, and then you got to decide, pre-order and ordering. And it came out summer of 2019, and I just really didn't know what I was doing, but it worked out well. I got a bunch of book signings, and
Awesome.
yeah, my first book signing was at a really cute place around here. It's called 317 Coffee in Hudsonville. And when there was like a good amount of people, of course, friends and family, and there was a line of people waiting for me to sign my book, I was just like,
That's
it was
amazing.
surreal. It was just like, I'll never forget that day. It was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And people were excited to get my autograph. I'm like, oh goodness. It was just a really surreal moment. And it's been sort of like that ever since that time, Um,
Yeah,
it's good.
I could tell. It means a lot to you.
It
So
does.
awesome. Yeah.
Because I don't know, I've read some books out there that I'm like, um, how did this get published? It's not holding my interest. What in the heck? Who did they know in the publishing? It's like,
Right? They
oh my
right.
gosh, how is this published? I mean, everyone has their own likes and dislikes, but this was clearly, I was like, oh gosh, okay. If I wanted a nap, I could just take a nap.
Use it for a
Sorry.
pillow.
I wanted my book to definitely not be that. So,
Right.
I wanted to keep the flow going. And yeah, so it always feels good when because I got some great reviews on Amazon. And whenever I get a 5-star review and I look at that, and it's just like getting a present at Christmas time. It just doesn't get any better than that. Now I would love to have it turn into a movie.
Oh yeah, the movie. To movie. I was going to get to that. I was going to ask you. I didn't. Well, I was going to first ask, like, have you ever thought about maybe going audio and then possibly like turn it into like a series or like any extra things you want to like do with it? So I'm
Absolutely.
really
Yeah. I would love to turn it into Audible. I'm going to be working on doing that. I think there's an audience out there that, some people just don't like to read from a book, or they don't like to, do it like an ebook, but they prefer to hear the book. So
yeah,
definitely, I'm not going to close the door on that. I think eventually I'll have it on Audible, or, get going on that. But yeah, it is going to be a series. So right now I'm working on book 2, and I'm so excited about it because all the fun characters from A Great Resort is going to be in book 2. I'm incorporating a couple new characters that I'm very excited for people to read about. But right now I'm going through the hard part. The book is done, but right now I'm going through, what chapters go where, how to arrange it so it, makes sense and, holds interest, and, doing editing. So Book Baby will, I'll get it professionally edited, but I still want to get it edited to the point where I can take it to them first. So
yeah,
that's the least. I love to write. I love free flow writing. That's my favorite. But what I don't like is what I'm doing right now, but it's a necessary part of the, process. I have to do
yeah.
it. So yeah, so right now I'm kind of, a few hours yet. I was on a couple shows yesterday, but in between that I was working on a chapter. It's just one chapter. It's got only 15 pages, but I worked on it for, I don't know, 4 hours. And there comes a point where it's like, okay, I can't work on this anymore. Let's move on to the next, chapter.
Yeah.
It can be annoying, but it's like, I got the hype so much up for the first book, and I want the second book to be just as good. So, I have to put in the work.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. It comes with the things, the part you don't want to do. You want to do the fun part.
right. The fun part is
As much
just
as the other
flying
stuff.
by the seat of my pants, you know,
Mhm.
getting that big yellow paper out and just, that's the fun part. Sometimes I write it on, longhand. Sometimes, I'll be on my laptop. Sometimes I feel like when I'm writing on my laptop, it's a little flat. I don't know why. Sometimes the words come easier. It flows better when I'm just writing it down. I do it that way. I do both ways. And I know better now to save my stuff so it doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, have a
That's
paper
interesting.
copy. So yeah, I'm gonna I'm getting it ready now to send out to a couple beta readers just to see, get the feel out for it and see what might work, what might not work on it. So yeah, I'm doing that, and then I'll get it ready for Book Baby, and I'm hoping to have it ready and done by October. So October, November, somewhere around there. I was going to be for the summertime, but it's getting to, I mean, we're already in the middle of April. It's not going to, I'm going to need more time for that. So yeah.
Yeah, like a fall book. Would that be fall? I think.
Yeah. Yep. So planning on the fall. Yeah. Later fall. I keep pushing it back. At first I said summer and, but no, it's not going to be summer.
Yeah, I think like when I hear fall, I like fall when it
yeah.
Fall,
almost my favorite time of year. Chill out, and when the weather gets a little bit cooler. Although in California, I don't think it ever gets cool. Does it?
That's why I like it so much. I like thinking about it. Oh, it's rare, but
oh man, you got to come to Michigan. You will get your dose of different.
I was out there not that long ago. Like I went
Really?
this year. Was it this year I went or last year? I think it was at the end of last year. It could have been the beginning of this year. It could have been. So I'm just gonna roll with that. But it wasn't that long ago. I stayed for like a few days, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Our seasons are vastly different. In fact, they're very different compared one day from the next. Although, I'm on spring break right now from school. I work for the high school as well, and we're on spring break, and the weather's been really nice. It's been like in the 70s, which is just wonderful because it's usually quite cool around here. Now today I don't think it'll be in the 70s, probably more 50, but that's okay. I'll take it. It's better than a ton of snow.
Yeah. I liked it. It wasn't like that. It was cold. I know that much. It was very, very cold. But I loved it because I was like, oh, so I loved it because I just wanted to be in the
Something
cold.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as I got back to San Diego, as soon as I hopped off the plane, right? Because I got my sweater and stuff, and I'm on the plane, falling asleep, then I get off, and immediately I'm just like sweating. I'm like, oh, great, back here again.
Well, I've never been to San Diego. I always hear that it's got the most beautiful weather, though. It's very consistent, like 70, 80 degrees. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, very consistent. So like when it rains and something, it's like very much
like, what's that?
Yeah, and then it'll rain, and then all of a sudden it'll just stop. You're like, see.
You want it to do it more, yeah. I love storms too. But so I'm working on my second book. And I also, I started a podcast with my friend Sean.
Yeah, Juicy Pear podcast, right?
Yep. It's called A Juicy Pear Podcast with Sean and Wendy. And that was something that, what's that?
Was that due to the pandemic? Did you start it like around the the pandemic?
Yep. So we started back last November. So last summer, we're in the throes of the pandemic. It just seemed really stagnant. We, the rules that we had for our state were quite strict. Couldn't do anything. There was no creative anything. And Sean and I were like, you know what? We need to have an outlet. We, between the two of us, we have a lot of interesting stories that we wanted to tell. And, we thought it would be good to start a podcast. Sean, she had a lot of interesting things happen to her. Last February, she almost died of a brain aneurysm. And she really, and most people, don't recover from it. And if they do, they usually have ill effects. And she made 100% recovery. She has no ill effects. And so we did an episode on that, how it started, and it was just it was a random, 2 days before she was perfectly fine. Like she was doing stuff. She was like, I think she said she went camping with her daughter and there was no, she didn't have any headaches or anything. And then 2 days later, all hell kind of broke loose, and it's really something. So that's an episode that we have on A Juicy Pear. We like to talk about interpersonal relationships, maybe obstacles that people might have overcome. We love to talk about pop culture. We love having, creatives like us on. We like artists, musicians.
Okay, you have guests. Okay.
Yep. Ghost hunters, entrepreneurs. We're going to interview a psychic in a couple weeks here. So that'll be fun.
Okay. All right. Would it be anyone I know? Is it
Um, I think Artie.
Artie
You know,
Hoffman? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
my buddy.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, they did two with them, two different shows. Yeah, he's a delight. I love Artie.
yeah. I heard that
I love
Steve joined. Yeah, he was telling me. He goes, "Oh, you're gonna have fun with Artie. He's gonna want to read you." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'd like to." Is my book gonna be made into a movie? That'll probably be my first question.
Yeah, like he was reading me. I tried so hard. I didn't really try too hard, but like when I was with him, like the first, I think maybe the second time, like I didn't give any like signals that I wanted to be read or anything like that. I just was, doing the show or the interview, so I wasn't, but I could feel like because I don't know what it was. I just like I didn't want to
Yeah. No,
like
I mean, if you
on
don't want to be
purpose.
read, I
Yeah,
think he probably could tell. He probably could sense it or whatnot.
yeah. On purpose, I didn't want to. If it just so happened.
Yeah. No, I'd be open to it. I'm very curious to see what he would say. Yeah, it's been strange times I
Yeah,
mean, the last year has been strange.
very.
With friends and how people handle what's going on with the pandemic. I just want to get things back to normal. We have musician friends. It'd just be great to be able to see them play and not have to worry about things. With the I got the shot and I've gotten both shots, and I'm just hoping that things can get back to normal again.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. But for the most part, you know, I noticed that like with podcasting and just like audio and just all the creativity has went up, and people are finding
Yeah.
a way to like, deal with this and handle it, through
Yes.
social media and creativity. Some people have like literally came up with books. You came out with a podcast, and
Hmm.
you think you would have podcast if it wasn't for the pandemic?
You know what? That's a good question. I think that really thrust us forward with that. I mean, there are a lot of cool things that have happened, and if I don't acknowledge that, that wouldn't be right, because there has, I mean, I wouldn't have completed the second book already. I wouldn't have had the time. And the podcast, I don't know if I would have done the podcast, because there is a lot, as you know, there is a lot to it. There's a learning curve, how to get it out there, how to, edit it, there's just so much to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had to take like a small class to learn how to do all those things, because I didn't know anything about podcasting. I heard about, and listened to podcasts, but I had no idea how to start one. And I didn't know anybody at the time. I didn't know anybody in the business of podcasting either. I kind of just
Me
had to
neither. I
do
just
it
did it.
on my own. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's only so many YouTube videos I can watch. I mean, so I went and did a class. It's called the Crystal Profit Podcasting Class. And she's very pragmatic, and I love her approach to it. Her thing is, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to buy the most expensive equipment out there. You
Yeah.
really don't. I think that's one.
I started with my phone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can record really good episodes from your phone. I mean, you don't have to have the most expensive microphone and things. Although now that I'm learning about podcasting, there is one thing I'd like to get that's kind of pricey. It's called the Rodecaster Pro.
I knew you were gonna say, yeah, I have my little mixer, but I know it's that one too, because that's the one everybody's getting.
I
Mine is
know, I
I
know.
have
I
the
haven't gotten it yet.
yeah,
I have to see if I'm going to get it, but I think that would be really
yeah.
cool to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you met I'm pretty sure you have Stuck in My Mind podcast with Wise. Did you do Wise?
I don't think I did the Stuck in My Mind one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I acquired mine. It's not the roll. I think he might have the rollcaster, I think. But I know I hear because I we have a radio show, a radio production together. And I lost my train of thinking. No, yeah, so that's why I asked, because he got that and then he gifted me
Oh,
what
nice.
he had prior, to that, because he said he needed me to sound good.
Oh, that's nice. How long have you been podcasting? A while?
This is like I'm in my second year, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this year has been the year where I'm like, okay, it's time to turn, I've been done the editing, and because now we're doing editing for other people now. We're editing
Oh,
logos, all that
okay.
stuff, like production, like I want to like produce like people that want their whole podcast just
Right.
produced for them, and all they have to
Right.
do is just do the talking or whatever they want.
Can I
So,
ask what you what do you use to edit?
um, in the beginning, I was using because I started off using Anchor and then
Mhm.
Spreaker, and then
Okay.
now I'm starting to push myself. Like I'm using Audacity,
Yep, that's what I
like
use.
making myself because before with Audacity, I was just like, I'm gonna need Audacity for dummies because I'm not
Oh yeah,
understanding.
there was a learning curve there. I was like, I had no idea. The hardest thing for me was trying to figure out what music to use without getting into copyright infringement,
Yeah,
what places to use, and then getting that music incorporated in, or getting it imported into Audacity. I was having the hardest time with that. I'm like, oh, it's got to be MP3, and then you got to switch it, and I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I've learned a lot, but gal, at first I almost like tossed it in the towel, like, oh, I don't know.
yeah. That's a big thing. The copyright thing, and I was getting that here and there because I make my own beats.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I like to make music, and so I was using it, and I would put my beats that I would make or the music, and I'd put it in my podcast. With the beats, with it's like a called Groove Pad.
Okay.
You have to make your own beats, but it's still copyright belongs to somebody. So I would get these when I would put my podcast in YouTube. Then I would get these emails saying something about the copyright.
Oh, girl.
Like not in big trouble, but yeah.
That's such a downer, especially if you're the one that made it. I mean, I don't know. It's like it gets a little out of hand. Like, really?
I'll give my shout out. I'm like, I made this song. I made this
Yeah.
song, but I
Yeah.
used it app.
Was it
you know,
okay if you do that? Just give them a shout out, like that's the app I'm using, but it's my own song, or they're still like, no.
I don't know. I did it anyway though, so
Yeah. I
But for the
mean,
most part, for the radio show, I went back and I had to take all that out. It was a lot of work because
yeah.
since we're it's everything on our radio shows like was paid for everything. It's all legit. So I don't want to
Yep.
like
Yep.
bring my stuff on there and have any problems. So I just took it all off.
No, that's the last thing you need. I mean, there is a ton of behind the scenes work. I don't think people realize there is a lot of work behind it. And, you put your heart and soul into it. And then for them, oh, yeah, you can't use it. Oh, God, that would be
Mm-hmm.
devastating. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So the goal is just to like be able to get my own like beat make where I can just make all the, but it's
Yeah.
rights belong to me. So yeah.
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 Yeah. That would be cool to do that.
Yeah. So do you have any plans to I know I heard you say also something about a movie.
I would
What
love to have my book made into a movie. I think it would be a fantastic movie. I can picture who I'd want in the movie.
I was gonna
I could,
ask. I bet, huh?
well, I would have to, oh goodness, I would have to come knocking on Bradley Cooper's door and say, hey, if you just want to, hang out, come sit in, the bar scene and, just be one of the patrons there. I would, oh, wow. I loved him in A Star is Born. I thought he was fantastic. Um, him and Lady
Okay.
Gaga, that's like one of my favorite movies. I like him anyway. I like him in a lot of different movies, but if I had a choice, he'd be in the movie for sure.
Okay. Who else would you have if you had to take a pick and you had to, anybody you could
Oh
choose or
goodness.
like make your movie shine? Like
You
great
know,
actors and actresses. But not just because you think they're cute.
I think Kristen Stewart would be.
Okay.
I
Oh
like
yeah.
her. I think she would make a good. I don't know if she would make the good. If she would be the antagonist of the whole thing, but I would incorporate her somehow. There's a lot of cool stuff in the book. A lot of cool characters. I would have her be in it.
I could
I'm
totally
trying to think
do
of
that.
who else. I'll think of it all after your show. I was like, oh, why did I say that? Why didn't I say that? Yeah, no. I would love for it to be a movie, and it's just got to get in the right person's hands. And I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully, it will.
Do you have anybody like a producer or a director, like if it was your choice, you'd be like, oh, like give me that guy or that.
Um, who is it? Paul Thomas Anderson. I loved him. He directed Boogie Nights. He directed several other movies. I can't think of the other one right now, but I think he would be a phenomenal director. Ron Howard. I like Ron Howard. He directed I love the book, and I got to think of the book, and it just came out on Netflix. Well, it came out a few months ago. Um, the Hillbilly Elegy. That's a great book, and Ron Howard directed that, and I like him anyway. He would be, I think he'd be a great director. Steven Spielberg, I mean, he's awesome. I would love for him to direct. I mean, there's just a laundry list of directors and people that I would love to be, to be a part of it. So I'm dreaming big, but that's the only way to be, right?
Right? Maybe they'll hear this or see this.
Oh, I would love that. Oh my gosh, that would be a dream come true. It would.
Right? Yeah, it really would. You never know. Never know.
You never know.
Yeah. I was going to also ask you. I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Bring it back.
Reel it in.
Yes, I was going to say. Yes, it's back again. Yes. If you had to, we're winding down here, but I did have like one more major question towards the. I think it was towards the. Oh yes, duh. Do you have any plans? There's two actually. Do you have any plans to write any other kinds or types of books?
Yes. I would like to write a nonfiction book about, depression, anxiety. I think that would be, living with someone, with a family member that has that. I have some ideas about that. I definitely would like to write about that. Yeah. Okay. Also, I want to have a Gray Resort series. I want to make a third book as well. And I've got notes on that, how I'm going to start that, which I'm excited about, but I got to get this book 2 knocked out first before.
Yeah.
That's the thing, I'm trying, I always have more than one thing going on, and just I guess that's just, yeah.
I call myself a hot mess because I'm like, I got this part.
A lot of irons in the fire all the time, it's good. It's good. You want to do what you want to do, but I just, I'm excited about, I just want to get these chapters arranged the right way. I want it done right. So hopefully here I will get that done.
Yeah. You'll get it done.
Yeah. It's hard to do that and be a mom and, have a job outside of that and, podcasting and things. It's hard to, and then you have the mom guilt, if you didn't take them to the store or didn't do what you were going to do. And instead I was editing my podcast,
right?
I feel guilty, but I don't know. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Because, all in all, it's going to pay off and it's benefiting. You know what I mean? And they'll look at it back and they'll be like, I remember when mom was, working on this. And,
Yeah.
They're like, teach them you want to do something to just do it,
Yep. They're like, you're on another show. I'm like, yeah, I'm on another show. I enjoy it. Yep. I love meeting new people. I love making new connections. And so you guys are going to have to deal with it.
Right. I told somebody the other day, I was like, some people like to play Candy Crush. I like to podcast. And what's the difference?
Exactly. Yeah. I really don't get into I can't do like games on your phone and things like that. I don't know.
Feeling like I gotta do some,
right.
Something.
Yeah. It's not it's fine for people who like to do it or like to wind down. That's just not something that I do. I'm like, I could be doing so many other things.
Right.
And it's hard for me I don't know if this is true of you, but it's really hard for me to relax too. I find it difficult. I don't know what it is. I mean, even if I'm sitting on the couch, like, I should be doing this. Maybe I need to meditate more. I don't know, but when I'm meditating, I'll probably my mind will be scrambling about all the things I should be doing.
I feel like you're not being productive, right?
Right. So I guess I got to work on that a little more. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I didn't know anybody else ever experienced that before. Like you feel or the days wasted, it's going so fast, and you have to, even if you just sit for a little bit, you're like, I feel like a loser, or you're like, I don't know, I
know. And it just seems like lately, some days, it's like fast forward. I'm like, oh man, I was going to work out. I was going to do this and that. And it's just, I don't know. The days are flying by.
Mm-hmm.
I always got to do a million different things. And it's fine. I mean, it's like controlled chaos. I just got to, the house is sort of a mess all the time, but I've had to let certain things go to get, I'd rather have a lot of creativity put out there than, did I sweep the floors or, I mean, with 4 teenagers, I mean, I'm constantly, there's no such thing as wash day. It's like wash all the time.
I bet.
Laundry's never done ever. And that's okay. But there's always a pile of clothes there, and that's okay. People come over, I'm like, yeah, it's never done because it's always, I do one pile, I blink, and then there's another one.
You have an
That's okay
excuse,
though.
though.
Right, right,
People don't.
right.
Oh, I like that you said controlled chaos. I like that. That is a cool like name for something. I mean that's just explains me to a T.
Yeah, I
That,
mean, if you're good with it, everyone has their way of doing things, and my way might not be what someone, how they do things, but that's okay. That's all right.
right? Because they're not you.
That's right.
You are
That's
you.
right.
Oh boy, oh boy. I really, really appreciate you sharing your book and your podcast and also your process and just your vision and everything. And you can just tell how much it means to you.
Yeah.
And 8 years, that's a long time. So
Yeah.
like that sounds like, you deserve, you know what I mean? It's like, to
Thank
reap
you.
the benefits. And that's pretty
Thank you
awesome.
so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, anytime, more than welcome here.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to come back when I'm promoting my second book.
here we go.
Cool.
Yes. Is there anything you could share with before we go with anybody that's writing or that wants basically trying to do what you did and to keep what
Yeah.
kept you going?
Sure. I just think it's important not to lose sight of your vision, even if sometimes you get well-intentioned advice from people but it's not always the right advice for you, and you just have to kind of dig deep and go with your gut about things, and don't quit, no matter what. Don't quit. If you really want something bad enough, you're going to figure your way to it. You really will. It just takes a lot of tenacity, and don't quit, and believe in yourself.
I love it. Yeah, I
Thank
love it. And
you.
that's for anything that anybody can take that youth, that applies to all of
Yes,
us. Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, if you want to pick up my book, it's a Gray Resort. And it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target.com, everywhere you can get books, really. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So do you have any social media or links you want to drop too for
Yeah,
the listeners?
sure. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Wendy KOK4 on Instagram. I have a website called Wendy M. Coke Author if you want to follow me on there. I also have a juicypearpodcast.com if you want to follow us on there. You can, download our episodes. If, we're on all the directories, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, iTunes. But, you could just go to ajuicypearpodcast.com and, right from your phone, listen to an episode if you're not on the directories. And yeah,
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
thank
And
you.
yes,
Enjoy
everybody.
that weather.
I know, right? I'm like, you keep reminding. I think it was somebody said earlier about, oh, you live in San Diego, California. I think they said they're East Coast, and they spoke about the weather, and I was like, yeah, but I like the cold weather. They was like, well, at least there your hair could stay curly. Like she said here, it's like you know. I
Oh,
was like, oh,
man.
that's the reason for me to appreciate my weather more. I could say that because
Yeah, I'm jealous of the weather there. I'll have to get out to the East Coast and yeah, maybe come visit you sometime.
yeah, for sure, this is my place. I do want to
Yeah,
go. I do want to travel more and like go other places, but I can truly say that this has been, like,
thank you. Bye bye.
welcome. Bye bye.